So before we start, I want to take a moment to thank someone. This special someone is called Hyperdrone. And Hyperdrone, for me, you're the real MVP here. Because even though we don't know each other, and even though he doesn't know Hebrew, he still watches almost each and every one of my videos. And I don't just mean watch and, I don't know, like comment say good job or something. He actually watches the videos and actually, I don't know, take an interest in this. And I want to thank him because it's really not trivial, especially when you don't understand what I'm talking about. So, Hyperdrone, thank you. Thank you for all the time you spent with me, with us. Thank you for helping me choose my 360 camera. Because what he did, he shared his thoughts and shared his knowledge. Not because I asked him to, but because he thought it was the right thing to do. And for this, I thank him. Hyperdrone, in my book, you're a real biker and a top tier motovlogger. So if you love motovlogging, if you like English videos, if you want to see some other cool bikers, go check him out. And with that said, after I tip my hat or helmet or I don't know what you call it for a fellow biker, I think we're due to another English video. What do you say, folks? Roll the intro and here we go! So hello everybody, how are you doing today? Or should I say tonight? I don't know. Well, this is SM26 and today I want to talk about, well, if you recall, about 2.5 months ago I did a video called Here We Go Again, and there will be a link up there in the card, so you're more than welcome to check it out. And this video will be a continue video to that one. Well, what I want to talk about today, what I started to talk about in the previous video, is depression. Depression is not something easy. It's not something to take lightly. And for this particular reason, this is why I don't add subtitles to my English videos. Because I think that if you're old enough to talk about depression and the heavy or, I don't know, the serious stuff in life, you should know English. Well, I promise I will talk about depression, and I want to start my story when I was 18 or 19, just when I was turning 19. So when I was 18 and 364 years old, the day before my 19th birthday, I got recruited to the army. And in Israel, army recruitment is mandatory, it's not optional. So I enlisted to the army, and I must say it was a lot to take in. It was really a lot to take in, because before I joined the army, I was deep into the supermoto thing. I got races in the supermoto Israeli championship. I even won a few races, and I always thought to myself that I would do with my life something that relate to motorcycle. But I didn't know what. I didn't know if I'm gonna be a mechanic or a racer or a seller, or I don't know. I just knew that in my life I wanted my business and my pleasure to be the same thing. And then the army. When I joined the army, let me just pass this guy over here real quick. I think it starts to rain. Oh boy. Well, when I joined the army, it was very strange for me, at least, because I wasn't prepared. You can never really be prepared for something like an army. In my head, I thought to myself, okay, you have to remember you're just a cog, a small cog, in a big system. And what you think and what you feel doesn't matter at all. You're a soldier now. And I thought I was ready for it. And after I finished basic training, oh my god, the rain is getting worse. And of course, my rain gear is in my backpack. And I'm not going to take it out because, you know what, maybe I will take my rain gear out, I don't know. So, I enlisted the army, I finished basic training, and at the end of basic training in the Israeli army, you have this ceremony where you have to pledge or swear your allegiance to the country and to the army, which is kind of, normal, I think. I guess it's fine. I have no problem with this ceremony per se, but for me, swearing or taking an oath got more of a religious context. So it was kind of troubling for me to swear or to, I don't know. It was the word itself didn't feel comfortable. So I talked to my CO at the time, and I told him, look, I have a problem. I can't swear because I don't believe in God or something, so I can't swear to God that I will, I don't know, do the whole thing. So he said, you know what, it's fine. You can just, instead of like swear by God's name, you can like promise really good. I don't know. So we got over that hoop, but then I had to go over another hoop. When I first read what I need to swear my allegiance, it says I have to put my country before my own life. And I wasn't gonna do this. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to take a bullet for anyone else. I'm not going to take a bullet for my country. I'm not that another patriot. And seriously, if I have to choose between saving my own life or defending the homeland, I will save my own life. And that was the first sign of trouble. That was the first sign that the army and me, the whole system, and SM26 didn't get along, because the army wanted to discipline simple soldiers. The army doesn't want someone who can think for himself, and doesn't want someone who can, I don't know. The army just wants guys who will follow commands and do as they're told. Simple as that. And why the hell are you stopping? It's green light. Drive, motherfucker, drive! So after basic training, I got the first feeling that someone, or I don't know, I shouldn't say someone, but I got the first feeling that the system didn't want me as an individual. They wanted me as a duplicate, as a soldier. And for the most part, I was fine. I said to myself, okay, you know what, you just take a hit, stop being yourself, be whatever they want you to be. If they want you to march, you march. If they want me to jump, I jump. But then after basic training, I got assigned at my should I say job in the army? I don't know. I was in charge of the financial systems in the army. I was in charge to make sure the books was right. I was in charge to make sure that money was spent properly and not I don't know, being stupid with money, because money is important. And that is the first time, I think, where it hits me. When the army wants me to be a soldier, he strips out my individuality. And when he wants me to save his money, and when he wants me to be efficient, then I need to be myself. And I was really having trouble with this like two-faced or two-sided policy, because you have to say, do you like me or do you like what you want me to be? You can't have both. Either I am myself or either I'm not. But you can't ask me like part-time do what you're told and part-time do like think for yourself. And this is the beginning, I think, of my earliest depression. So I was a bit torn with myself. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if they wanted me or they wanted the soldier. I just had no idea. And then a war broke up. Wow, it sounds so dramatic, but yeah. In 2014, I was in a war called Tzuk Eitan, and they knew that I'm not going to sacrifice myself for the homeland. They talked to my CO and they said, okay, he's not suited to go into the war zone. We shouldn't we shouldn't send him head first towards the mission. So what should we do with him? What should we do? I know, let's send him to guard some Forsaken base in the north of the country. Wow, the wind is really the wind is really strong. I don't know if you can hear me right now. Anyhow, so Tzuk Eitan broke, the war broke, and I had a friend I went to school with. His name was Sean, and Sean was among the first casualties in this war. Sean died defending the homeland. And at that point, I snapped. I'm not sorry, I'm not apologizing. I snapped. Because I thought to myself, it's not logical, it's not possible that I'm 19 years old. I'm not supposed to lose friends to war. I'm not ready to cope with this kind of thing. I wasn't ready to accept that because I was afraid I survived and my friend didn't. His only sin was that he was brave. He was brave and he was a soldier full on. And when they told him to jump, he jumped, and when they told him to fight, he fought. But no one told him he should die. Yet he still died. And in that moment, I don't know. For me now, after almost 5 years later, I can see that I was really depressed because I lost a friend and I was starting to lose me. The army wanted me to dress the way they said and to shave and to haircut and not going out, and I was so limited with everything that I thought that defines me as a person. The army took it away, offered nothing in return. They told me just, you have to lose yourself into the system. Trust that your CO knows what he's talking about. But how can I trust my CO when my CO is 6 months younger than me? He doesn't have any real life experience. All he knows is what he was taught in basic training or whatnot, or commanding officers training, or whatever got him his ranks. And at that point, I said to myself, fuck. So I'm 20 years old. I look in the mirror and I don't recognize myself. I don't do what I like. I don't think what I think I should think. I just completely lost myself into the system. I've decided to accept the change, or accept the verdict of me being a soldier. Wow, what wind! The wind is so strong! Ah! So I've decided to accept the verdict that I'm a soldier and go heads on. I've lost myself completely and utterly. I was a soldier from day and night and night and day. I never thought about friends or family. I never thought about anyone. I had a girlfriend which I left because I was so deep into this whole army soldier boy routine thing. I thought to myself that if I will lose myself completely, if I was no longer myself, then I'll be fine. I won't have to cope with the pain of losing a friend, with the pain of losing myself. So I delved right into it. I became the soldier they wanted me to be. I stopped coming back home. I just stayed at base, day and night and weekends and whatnot. And to my surprise, it actually felt better. I was completely lost, and the army was some kind of solace to me. I didn't know who I was, but in the army eyes, it really didn't care. As long as I'm doing what I am told, as long as I'm disciplined, as long as I do my job, as long as I keep the army's money safe and secure, all of this didn't really matter. All of me didn't really matter. So through my whole time in the army, the only thing that kept through my mind is, you don't matter. What you think doesn't matter. What you feel doesn't exist. What you think you know is irrelevant. And I tried to get help. I really tried to get help. But the army is not the place for this kind of thing. The army doesn't want you to get better. The army just wants you to follow orders. So they gave me a furlough. They gave me a leave of absence for a week. And I got back on my motorcycle. I got back on my motorcycle, and for a second there, I felt alive again. I felt that the motorcycle understands me somehow. It completes me. So I knew I'm not going to continue and serve my country. I know I'm not cut out for it. I tried, I gave it my best shot. The one good thing that the army did for me is it set me on a career path. When I was keeping the books in order and taking care of the financial stuff, I learned how to keep the books in order, how to keep the financial stuff. I learned something that called SAP ERP systems, which it's good. I found out that I'm really good at this job. I found out that there is something I can do which outside of the army makes a lot of money, and I found out that I'm good at it. The only problem I had is that I didn't like it. Yes, you can be good at something without liking it, and that is exactly where I was. So after 3 years of serving in the military, losing every bit of me that there was, and starting to build myself up again completely, not as a biker, not as myself, but as a disciplined citizen, but as a sort of like ordinary guy without any hopes, without any ambitions, without anything but work. I knew I had a job. I knew it was good. It didn't bring me joy or happiness, but I didn't care at the time. It just didn't count. My happiness, my joy wasn't a factor in my own life. But just so we're clear, the army was not that bad. When you look at the grand total, yes, it was bad because it broke me apart completely. But it was also good in a way because it built me again. Not as I wanted it, but it built me again. In addition, while I was in the army, I found someone. It's kind of stupid, I don't know. But I started dating this girl that was in my base, and at that time I didn't knew what I had in my hands. I didn't knew how important she was to me. And I guess that's a hard lesson learned, right? Like, I don't know, I can talk about depression, I can talk about suffer, I can talk about death, I can talk about war, but I can never, I don't know, every time I want to talk about her, I just can't. I know it sounds stupid, I know it sounds silly, but yeah, through my whole army service, there was this one person, not family, not friends, one person who I was lucky enough to even date, and she really helped me out at that time. She didn't know it, I didn't know it, but in hindsight, god damn it. So I'm 22, I finished my service, I'm ready to head out. I know that my career path isn't really mine. The decision of what should I do in my life has been already been made. And not by me, but by all of my surroundings. All of the people I know, my family, my friends, all my surroundings told me, you should do this, you should stick with this profession. You have the experience from the military, you're good at it, it has good money in it. Just do it! Just do it! Keep your head down. Don't ask for something fun. You don't need to enjoy your day work. You just need to do it. And after my military service, I did exactly that. I went to work as a consultant contractor, outside sourcing for the Ministry of Defense, the MOD, and I was completely lost. At first, like the first 3 or 4 months, I still lived at my parents' house, and all day long what I do is go to work, finish work, go back home, sleep again. That's all. That was my routine, nothing more. And I thought to myself that if I wouldn't feel anything, I should be okay. Like, I was so afraid that if I should seek happiness in life and fail, I was so fearful that that feeling of failure would hurt too much. And when I thought to myself that, okay, you're a robot, basically. You're basically a robot. You do as you're told, and it couldn't get any worse than this right now, so you should be happy. Then life knocked me to the ground, I should say. I got my license revoked, and the last thing that kept me, I just lost it. I lost my bike, I lost my driver license, I lost my freedom, I lost my ability to move, I lost my ability to travel, I lost the last stronghold of myself. And right at that time, my relationship with my father got even worse, and at December 2017, this was the last time I ever talked to my father, because my father has forgot something very, very basic. I don't know how you can forget it, but he forgot it. He forgot that we're all humans and we should all have our place. We should all have some, hey, look, a car from SAP. That's the company I work for. So my father forgot that I'm a person too, apparently. And he started to treat me I won't say like trash, but very close to it. He basically dismissed every part of me. Like, he told me, no matter what you feel is irrelevant, because you feel it and you doesn't matter, and you don't matter. So at that point I snapped again. It was a family dinner with my brother, and when he told me that, I just stood up and exit. I just left the house and I wouldn't come back. I said to myself, if my own father doesn't acknowledge the human part in me, then I don't need him. I don't need another person in my life who will dismiss me. I don't need another person in my life who think that I don't matter. So I moved into my own place. I moved into the big city. I left the suburbs and I moved to Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv in Israel is huge city. I think it's the biggest city. I'm not sure. But if it's not the biggest, it's the city with most things to do, I guess. The city was, for me, a 180-degree transformation. When I moved out of my parents' house and started to live on my own, I started to live, and it was so different, and so the change was so big, because when I lived with my parents, I wasn't me. I was their son. Everywhere I go, I was their son. I wasn't my own person. And suddenly I knew no one. I was living alone in a city where I have no friends, and the change was so drastic. The change was so huge that I shut down. Again, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to think. I was finally free to do whatever I want, to be myself. But I wasn't aware of the possibilities. I had all the tools in my reach, but I just couldn't make the step forward. So I shut down. Again, I went into my routine and I dwelled with it. For 3 months, I haven't seen not a single friend, no one. All I did was work, house, work, house, work, house. I had nothing. I had no motorcycle, no outlet, nothing at all. And at that point, as much as it may hurt me to say it, I found a friend in alcohol. I started drinking, and when I say I started drinking, I'm not talking about a beer or two after work. No, I'm talking about 2 liters of beer every night, just so I could fall asleep, just so I could stop thinking. So I had no motorcycle, no freedom, no sense of self. I was becoming an alcoholic. As much as it sounds maybe funny or weird and dangerous, yes, I suddenly realized that the path I'm on is going to kill me. If not literally, then figuratively. But something's got to change. So what did I do? What does a 22, 23, I think, I don't know, what does a young guy in the start of his life, in his early 20s, who's becoming an alcoholic, lives alone, doesn't want friends, doesn't need friends, doesn't have friends, doesn't have freedom, doesn't have a sense of self? What do you do? Well, I'll leave you with this question for tonight, because the answer of what did I do next will be on the next episode. this is me. This is me coping with depression, with the hardest parts, in plural, of my life. The parts where I didn't know what to do because I didn't know who I am, who I was, what I wanted. So until the next time, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sticking around for so long. And I hope that the wind was tolerable, and I hope that some of it at least makes sense. Because the next part is not how I recovered from depression, is how I found depression comforting. I found it to be a partner and not something that interferes with my life. So, till the next time, bye folks!